One of my favourite stories about Carl Jung is of one time a friend coming to him and the friend had just failed to get a promotion. And the friend comes to him to kind of get a bit of commiseration from a friend. And he says, Carl, I didn't get that promotion. And Jung is delighted. He says, great, now the real work can begin. Reminds me of, I guess, Muhammad coming away from that battle and saying that we're leaving the lesser jihad and going back to the greater jihad. And it's that thing of the real war is the one we have with ourselves, the one to become who we are, in the words of Nietzsche. And it makes me think of the destroyer archetype. And the destroyer archetype is probably the ones we grapple with the most, in terms of it's the one that manifests most in the shadow, because it fights against what we want to do. And you see that in that story with that man, because clearly he wants the promotion, whereas Jung believes that what's best for the man is the opposite. And so it makes me think of this destroyer archetype, which is a force within us that almost self-sabotages or can work against us in order to create something greater. This is it's also a big thing in the East. I've come across it a good few times in kind of Taoist stories or some kind of Eastern stories, and there's one in particular that comes to mind. Story of the scholar Taku-san, who's full of knowledge and opinions about the Dharma. He came to Ryotan and asked about Zen. At one point, Ryotan refilled his guest's teacup, but did not stop pouring when the cup was full. Tea spilled out and ran over the table. "Stop, the cup is full," said Taku-san. "Exactly," says Master Ryutan. "You are like this cup. You are full of ideas. You come and ask for teaching, but your cup is full. I can't put anything in. Before I can teach you, you'll have to empty your cup." And within that old Zen story, you can see that thing of if we are full, if our lives are full, then what we want, what we are seeking, there's no room for it within. And so there has to be something destroyed for the new thing to be made. And this is why in Pearson's 12 archetypal book, The Awakening of the Heroes, the couplet of the destroyer archetype is the creator archetype. And we see this in Shiva, the great god of the Indian pantheon, that he is both the creator god and the destroyer god, and he's the god of fire. And that might also remind us of Heraclitus and the fire war being the father of all things, and fire being this central element that, because it destroys, it is also created. It's the warmth giving, but also the destroyer, and we see that with the sun. So yeah, it's this really interesting thing of the destructive aspect within us potentially being connected to what is creative. And there's another saying from Heraclitus here that comes to mind, that time is a child playing with blocks. And I remember a cousin of mine being over for Christmas. She must have been only 5 or 6 at the time, and my brother had gotten me this puzzle block. So there's a load of blocks that you have to reassemble back into a cube. And she came along and she just started stacking the bits. She had no concern for the idea of a cube. And she stacked them up. She was trying to get them all stacked on top of each other. And when she finished that, when she did get them all stacked, she didn't just kind of sit there and get it framed and call everyone around to adore it. She knocked those blocks back down so she could build up again. And that's the lesson of the creator and the destroyer, is that if you want to create something new, you have to destroy something old. Kill your darlings, as Stephen King was advised with the craft of writing, is you have to destroy what you love, the thing that's so precious, the thing that occupies so much space in your life. You need to destroy that in order to create something new. And yeah, it's just such an eminently eternal lesson for us all, but it's one that's almost impossible to learn, because how do you destroy what you love? And I guess that's with the Buddha and with Jesus as well. In one of the Four Noble Truths, he says that tanha, attachment, is the root of all dukkha, suffering. And yeah, it's that thing of we need to become non-attached. We need to let go of the things that bind us if we want to become enlightened, if we want to make room for the greater truth, the greater presence in our life. Anything greater. You need to destroy. And that is, that's for kind of a modern spiral dynamics green leaner. That is quite tough. To destroy anything or anyone it seems kind of brutal. And so the more I think about it, the more these examples multiply, and the more you can see this around, and how in order to create anything we must destroy something. And it's part of the tragedy of life, really, that you gotta crack some eggs to make an omelette or something like that. But Nietzsche obviously has a lot about this. This is one of his primary messages, and there's one quote in particular that jumps out as it stands in such sharp contrast to what so many other philosophers and moralizers say. To those human beings who are of any concern to me, I wish suffering, desolation, sickness, ill treatment, indignities. I wish that they should not remain unfamiliar with profound self-contempt, the torture of self-mistrust, the wretchedness of the vanquished. I have no pity for them, because I wish them the only thing that can prove today whether one is worth anything or not, that one endures. Where do you see that kind of that ill-wishing, that compassionate ill-wishing to wish upon someone the miseries and suffering so that they can grow, so that they can become who they are? And he's got another great quote which kind of ties into that idea of growing to a great height, and how growth is connected with that destructive aspect, with those tempering aspects. Examine the lives of the best and most fruitful people and peoples, and ask yourself whether a tree that is supposed to grow to a proud height can dispense with bad weather and storms, whether misfortune and external resistance, some kinds of hatred, jealousy, stubbornness, mistrust, hardness, avarice, and violence do not belong among the favourable conditions without which any great growth, even of virtue, is scarcely possible. So those are quite, for me, it's really, these are great philosophical reminders, as Wittgenstein might say. These are reminders of what it is to live your philosophy, and what it means to approach life philosophically. It's to take everything to affirm everything that happens to you, to say yes to it as opening up into something else. And while daunting, it is a fine challenge, and it seems to bear great fruits. So that's all I wanted to share with you today, a look at the destroyer archetype and how important it is for growth in any kind of spiritual or personal domain. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, and I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.